Now I know what you're asking yourself. I feel you. You're asking yourself, why is this dude removing the protective film off this car? And oh my God, does that paint not look fantastic? Well, truth be told, I'm obeying Lawrence, the body shop guy. He says it can take a year for the paint to fully dry, and I have to let it breathe. And of course, I said, well, I want to keep it protected because I don't want to scratch it. So we came to a compromise. Leave it on for a couple months, take it off for a couple weeks, and then start the process over again. So I was about to install the master cylinder, do all the plumbing, get the brakes going, but then I decided, you know what? I need a little bit of comfort work. You see, when I was a young guy, well, maybe not quite that young. Yeah, we're getting closer. Oh yes, right about here. I had a distinct love of two things, electronics and guitars. In fact, when I was 17, 18 years old, I thought I was going to be a rock star. But then I suffered a bit of a traumatic event. I mean, not traumatic by today's mature standards, but by 18-year-old self, it was a traumatic event. You see, it was 1988, it was the Battle of the Bands. So during the audition, I got up on stage with my band, we played Stepping Stone by the Monkees, which should have been a really easy song, and we totally killed it. I'm afraid you guys are just really bad, but in a bad way. To make matters worse, after receiving such a public ass whooping, the next day in the hallway it got a bit worse. You see, the guy who was generally thought of as the best guitar player in the school came up to me in the hallway and screamed, "You suck!" It was at that moment that I hung my guitar up for the next 10 years of my life. I then decided to focus on my second passion, which was electronics. And after high school, I decided to enroll in an electronic engineering technologist associate degree program, which I got 3/4 of the way through before I realized, wow, this is fun. It's not really what I want to do with my life. In hindsight, I should have finished the program, got the certificate.
You gotta look out for number one.
Got their certificate, and then decided to make a change. But you know, I was an impetuous 22-year-old and decided I couldn't do this for the rest of my life, and that's when I became a mechanic. But that 3/4 of a certificate I got really makes electronics and anything electrical a pleasure for me to work on at this point in my life. So while I am not interested in completely and totally reverse engineering this, I am kind of trying to understand what this mess is from. This is the side marker. When the headlights are on, power is being picked up at that point. It's going into this relay right here, which that wire is going off to the battery. This wire is going off to what I assume to be the other side of the car. And that one is going to ground. So when you turn the headlights on, energy comes through the relay and is sent to the other side. So I assume it has something to do with somebody trying to make an improvement by adding a relay, which there's all kinds of different improvements that were made. Turn signal side markers. Well, that one we're probably going to do later on, but the assumption is that somebody was trying to add some sort of high beam addition, because this is definitely wired into the headlight circuit. When the headlights go on, relays are being engaged, but at this point I'm just about to rip this stuff out. Well, not rip, but politely remove. Must not lean on car. Right, so this is a lot less congested. I have made an attempt to find some right angle connectors and pop the connectors out of this socket, but I can't find them, so I'm just going to cut right there and do a repair. This is going to go to the lift motor, I'm assuming. This goes to the blower motor down there. Obviously we've got our side marker over here. And then over here I've got a couple, put that back in. I've got a harness here and the same on the other side. I'm assuming that's going to the front turn signal. And now it's time to wire in my new rad fans. You see, it's rad fan, not a raid fan. Doesn't that kind of suggest that radiator is the correct pronunciation and not radiator? Don't worry about it, I'm just messing with you. But you know what? It's a good thing these are cooling fans, because I took a lot of heat for putting them in. Now there's generic crimpers, and then there's these kick-ass crimpers which replicate the original crimps.
I'm coming into the danger zone.
Just went and bought a new torch because the one I have sucks. It's only money, right?
It's always only money, right?
And while I'm giving unintended shoutouts, apparently the Worth rep is also a fan. I guess that explains all these strategically placed freebies.
Alright, so if the circuit is good and I touch these two together, those fans should come on. And the fans are not coming on. Alright, that means I have a problem.
You gotta love it. The very first circuit I test, I got a simple problem, a bad ground. Alright, so I had the wires over here on the horn mount, that's where the horns go, and that was the wrong point. That's why I didn't think I painted it that well. The grounding point is actually right there. So, we'll clean up. The previous owner, Rob, has indicated that this is a Euro bumper, and I believe it is. It's rough, it needs to be repainted, but it is intact and seems to be in otherwise decent shape. Let's go see if it fits on the car. These are the bumper shocks I originally took off, and they're definitely squished in. Thought I was doing myself a favor by replacing the shocks because these ones were dead. But I think I'm going to put them back on temporarily to see how I'm going to make this fit, because that bumper is clearly not fitting on the car as it sits. This is so damn stressful working on this car, worrying that I'm going to scratch it. I think I'm going to put the plastic coating back on tomorrow and just live with the repercussions afterwards, because I know if I don't put it on, I'm going to scratch it one of these moments. Okay, so just for shits and giggles, I put the original bumper shock back on. You can see it there versus the new ones that I purchased way over there. That's quite the difference. Because I do not like those bumpers sticking out a long way, so I think I'm going to put the old one on the other side as well. The holes don't line up, so I'm going to have to take the shocks back off again and try and figure something else out. It's definitely not right. Yeah, it's way off. You can see the gap. Really tight there. Loose there. But for the moment, I just wanted to get it on to work on electrical, so that's a project for another day. So every time I go walking past the car, I take a look at this little wiring harness and I'm like, you don't need to know what that wiring is for. It's garbage. Garbage. But I do believe I've figured it out now. I think if I go upstairs and dig through the old boxes of the headlight assemblies, I'm going to find two aftermarket, non-original bulbs there. And this is going to be their attempt to make it work. Let's see what we got. Standard 55 watts. Definitely not original, but also not as high wattage as I was expecting. Now let's see, how does this go in the car?
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger!
Okay, let's do it from the bottom and not scratch the paint. There is so much slop at the adjuster point for these headlights. I swear it's like 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to manually lift the headlights before I apply any power to this circuit because I don't want to scratch anything. Of course, one side goes in easy, the other needs a little bit more love. So I got no lights, I got no lift motors. I'm thinking it might be something common to this switch over here, so let's go take a look at the switch. According to the Trottier channel, these switchers are very common to fail and very easy to repair. But there's nothing wrong with mine. Gotta keep looking.
You put the wires back in and you didn't know what
And fortunately, the simplest solutions are usually the correct ones. I think Ferrari's parts bins, they only had like 2 connectors because they just keep using the same ones over and over again, and you can hook them up into anything, and you're like, why doesn't this work?
Yes.
I'm fairly certain in my year car these are not supposed to be black, they're supposed to be the body color. But I'm sure somebody out there will let me know for sure. I've confirmed the lifters are working now. I've got all the significant pieces, but I'm missing the bolts. It looks like there's some specialty bolts in there. I'm going to have to take everything back apart right now, get everything cleaned up, painted, and then start putting it all back together once I source these bolts out. Ouch, 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 ouch. These 2 covers have definitely been repaired before, and they desperately need to be painted. Okay. Those are not in good shape. Huh. That one's okay. That's the only one. Damn. And what's next, of course, is these taillights and turn signals. I was gonna replace them all until I priced them out, and then I realized, oh my gosh, these are about 250 bucks each. So I got about $1,000 in hardware back here. I think I'm gonna try and save the ones I can save, and if I can't save it, then I'll replace it. I'm not quite sure why Ferrari used the same connector in the same orientation. Now, it's fine to use the same connector, but normally I would have thought that the orientation between male to female would have been flipped between the harness side and the tail lamp side. And what I mean by that is it would have made it a little bit easier if the brake light and the turn signal light had opposite orientation. It's not that it's that difficult, it's just that, I mean, a simple flip of the connector would have made a little bit of a difference. And I have to get this out of here because, in my humble opinion, this is ancient technology. I'm actually thinking of putting in a full electronic ignition. I know a lot of you purists are going to go, no. But I was watching the Car Wizard guy, and he had put the system in that I wanted to put in, and he obviously beat me to it. But I'm like, it'd be interesting to see how much more drivable that system made the car. I don't know, what do you think? I'm shopping for a car cover, so if you got some brand recommendations, throw them in the comments as well, please. Thank you. And with that, I'm signing off in snowy Canada. Look it out. Gorgeous out here. God, I love the snow. Until about April, then I don't like the snow so much. And I'm like, get rid of the snow. But this is Canada. Gotta love it. I do.